Hi everyone, we're here for Live Darts TV. We're actually on the lake and we're joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, thanks for joining us.
No problem, no problem.
Absolute pleasure. Say, happy with your peg today?
Yeah, really happy. I've got my Sky TV aerial out the front there.
Decent.
Got all my gear here. Obviously, this young man just come along so I can educate him on how we do it on the lakes. So yeah, it's been good. Nothing yet. And we've been going a whole 10 minutes, and I'm starting to lose a little bit of patience.
Oh, it's never a good
so I've taken a few phone calls, and we're all right at the moment.
Boxing phone calls by any chance?
All boxing phone calls, yeah.
I'd say one place to start. Obviously, AJ Povetkin round the corner. How's preparations gone for AJ? Obviously, he's in camp.
Yeah, good. I mean, I see this as the toughest fight of his career. Not only because Povetkin is #3 heavyweight in the world and very well schooled and former Olympic gold medalist and world heavyweight champion, but because everybody's looking at what's next. And Joshua said he felt the pressure of that in the Parker fight. You know, everyone was talking about Wilder and the fight after this, rather than focusing on this fight. This is one of the best fights in the division. And when you look at the world heavyweight independent rankings, it's Joshua, Wilder and Povetkin. So we're not fighting 2, but we're fighting #3. So I'm excited for the fight. You know, we've already sold over 75,000 tickets. So it's going to be another brilliant atmosphere.
I'll say the heavyweight landscape is unbelievable at the moment. We've got 4 or 5 absolute stellar heavyweights. Yeah,
and I think for the sport to grow, you know, that's the division that really creates that casual interest for the fan base. And you know, you've got a blooming sport at the moment, but you've also got a blooming heavyweight division, and not just Joshua and Wilder, but you've got Fury, you've got Dillian White, you've got Dereck Chisora, you've got Jarrell Miller, you've got Luis Ortiz. You know, the list goes on. And when you look back to the great heavyweight days, they were the days where there was 6, 7, 8 guys that you could, you know, associate with a division, and you could talk up potential fights between each other. So as long as everyone's willing to fight each other, which these guys generally are, you know, we're going to have a great 2 years.
So I've just spoken to Dillian. He's hoping to get out again November, December time. Anyone in mind for that yet?
Well, I think everyone would like to see the Chisora fight again. You know, I mean, Chisora Takam was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Chisora White was one of the best fights I've ever seen. So you know that Chisora White 2 will be an absolute barnstormer, and that's definitely in the frame for December. But we also need to get Dillian White a shot at the world heavyweight title. Wilder doesn't want to fight him, and if Wilder refuses to fight Joshua in April, then I think you'll see Dillian White against Joshua in April. So great future ahead for Dillian White, and I think outside of the champions, he's now established himself as the #1 heavyweight in the world.
A lot of talk about Dillian maybe fighting Manuel Charr as well. Is that a possibility?
It is. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's an attractive fight, but Charr does have that WBA regular belt. So, you know, for Dillian, you know, and others, they're chasing Manuel Charr. I like other fights as well, but you know, I'd still love to see Dillian White against Joshua, the rematch. I mean, the first fight was a brilliant fight, and both fighters have improved so much since then. So we'll see.
Obviously, again, you touched on it as well, Tyson Fury's come back. What's your thoughts on it? Obviously, he's lost a hell of a lot of weight, which is unbelievable. But is he ready for that big fight?
No, certainly not. I think he knows that. Everyone in boxing knows that. And unless he's getting, I don't know, $20 million for that fight, I don't think he'll take the fight against Wilder, to be honest with you. I know they've said it's happening. There's no date or venue yet. And I think Fury needs one more. He knows that. He's done it unbelievably to come back from where he was, and he deserves a huge amount of credit. But he looked very poor in his last fight. He got booed out of the ring. He's not an entertaining fighter to watch. What he is, he's awkward and tricky, which is not great for people to watch, but it's effective, as we saw against Klitschko. So I think if he can have a fight or 2 more, which was always his plan, he's got a very good chance against the likes of Wilder and Joshua. But right now, he stands no chance away from those fights, and I just think it's a shame to waste it when you're not ready. But he's a smart guy. I think he might have something up his sleeve, because I don't see him getting in the ring with Wilder this year for sure.
Obviously, September, huge month for boxing as well in general. We've got Canelo GGG 2, also the World Super Series final, Callum Smith against George Groves, a real coin toss fight.
Yeah, and Amir Khan goes a week on Saturday as well in Birmingham, so it's great times for boxing. I think, you know, with the Canelo Golovkin fight, you start looking at Golovkin thinking, is he just getting a little bit old now? You know, he's not young. I won't say he's been in tough fights, but you know, he's got some miles on the clock. I think the fight's lost a little bit of shine because of the doping incidents with Canelo, but it's added a little bit of spite at the same time. So I think the Super Series final is a great chance for Callum Smith out in Saudi Arabia for that one. Looking forward to the trip.
Disappointed it's out there?
Yeah, listen, it's just money talks. You know, they did a deal for the cruiserweights. It ended up going to Russia, so this just worked out for the series. Disappointing that the fight's not in Britain, because it's a World Championship fight between 2 Brits, but regardless, it's a chance for Callum Smith to become world champion. I do think it's a 50-50 fight. Groves, you've got to give him a huge amount of credit, because potentially he could have been done after the Froch defeat many years ago. He's come back, he's claimed the world title, he looks to be improving. Good trainer in Shane McGuigan. Callum's got Joe Gallagher in the corner. It's a really good matchup, and I believe Callum can do it.
Obviously, you touched on George there. Are you surprised how well he's done since the Froch? Because he almost looked finished then.
He's just a very stubborn individual and sort of single-minded and focused, and he's smart as well. And he's a very good boxer. Punches very, very hard. And yeah, I'm not really surprised. You know, I think he deserves a lot of credit. After the Badu Jack fight, particularly, you would have said he was finished. Come back with a good win against Chudnov. You know, he won the world title there and then defended it against Eubank, beat him quite comfortably, and now he fights Callum Smith. So if he beats Smith, you've got to say, you know, he goes down as one of the top British boxers of our generation. But Callum is younger, fresher, punches very hard, but probably hasn't been in as deep as a George Groves level in his career so far. So we're going to find out what he's made of as well.
Just seeing you back from the States as well, the Billy Joe Saunders build-up is going to be absolute top draw.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a really good fight, Saunders Andrade. Probably the most two skillful guys at 160 pounds. And Billy Joe's a character. You know, he was at the press conference last week, and he's very, very, very talented fighter. Very talented fighter. I think his career's been a little bit wasted, to be honest with you, in terms of what he could have achieved. But he's still got time, and he's still a real threat to the division. As is Demetrius Andrade. You know, he's kind of sort of a sleeping giant of the middleweight division. Both guys have a huge amount of pressure on themselves in that fight, because the winner, you know, the week after that, we've got Jacobs Derevenchenko for the IBF title, and of course everyone's trying to get the winner of Canelo Golovkin. So great times for that division as well.
Obviously, you must be over the moon to get the Billy Joe fight on DAZN as well, because I follow obviously a lot of the boxing. Yeah. Frank was adamant it was going to be over here, so you must be over the moon with it.
Yeah, money talks at the end of the day. I mean, Frank didn't want that fight to go on Sky Sports and DAZN. But the offer was too big, and Billy Joe, I think, just basically turned around and said, look, I'm taking it. So, I mean, listen, everyone makes money out of it, and I think Boston, October 20th, is going to be a great night. And I think Billy Joe can raise his stock as well through having another good win on foreign soil. And I think if he can beat Lemieux in Canada and Andrade in America, he probably deserves that shot at the Canelo Golovkin winner.
Obviously, spoke to Coogan about it before. Would you still like to sign Billy Joe potentially if the opportunity was there?
He's a bit of a handful, you know what I mean? He's a bit of a pain in the arse sometimes. But listen, he's a character and he's a talent. I don't think, you know, he hasn't got the profile he should have, both through his personality and through his ability. But there's still time, you know, and we'll see. Andrade's our guy, so I give him the slight edge in the fight, being in the US. But I do rate Billy Joe Saunders very highly.
I know you've spoken, you would say your admiration for Billy Joe, so it must be almost like the Brit against your guy, tough one to call.
It is, but Billy Joe often reminds me that, you know, he's my guy and he's going to whip our arse and all this stuff, so it's all good fun. But I'm looking forward to the matchup, genuinely, as a boxing fan. You know, I think it's a huge card out there as well. You know, we signed Tevin Farmer, he's fighting James Tennyson from Belfast, that's a great fight. Katie Taylor's on that card as well, Tommy Coyle, Scott Quigg, so, you know, we're really starting to take shape in America.
Touch on the landscape of boxing there. Do you think the way it's going in America with the DAZN deal, like with a streaming platform, is it going to head that way in the UK? We've just seen the YouTube fight at the weekend between Logan Paul and KSI. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, no, but I admire what they did. I mean, I hated the fight and everything made my skin crawl, but I admired the promotion and, you know, these two guys are geniuses, and it's a different market, it's a different, you know, age group to me. I mean, I don't get it, and there's kids going, it's sold out the Manchester Arena, so you've got to say, well done. People say, oh, it's bad for boxing. It's not bad for boxing. It brings attention to boxing. It's just not the kind of boxing that we like as fight fans. So streaming, I do think it's the future, unquestionably. I mean, Sky Sports have a monopoly over not just boxing, but sport in the UK right now, and they're constantly evolving as well. But I do think the way that people are digesting content is changing. You know, you only have to look at that new generation. You know, even my kids. I mean, I don't think they even turn the TV on. Everything's off an iPad, on YouTube and Netflix. You look at Netflix. You know, they're worth 160 million. Sorry, they've got 140 million subscribers, and they're worth more now market cap wise than Disney. So I mean, they're flying, and that goes to show you the future. And I think DAZN is part of that future. They're in Italy. They've just signed the Serie A deal. They've got, you know, already through 1 million subscribers, I think, in the first weekend. They're flying in Japan, Germany, Canada, and now America. And I think, yeah, 2-3 years, you'll see them in the UK as well.
Last one for you, Ed. Brooke Khan, December. How are we looking for that? Do we think it's going to happen at last?
I hope so. I mean, Khan's fighting on a week on Saturday. It's a tough fight against Sammy Vargas in Birmingham. Show us where he's at, really. And Brooke just wants the Khan fight. You know, he's phoned me. I spoke to him 2 days ago. Pacquiao's in the mix. I met with his guys in Boston. He likes the Khan fight, he likes the Brooke fight as well. So it's an interesting dynamic at the moment. But for me, not just as a fight fan, but as a businessman, Khan Brooke has to happen in December. And, you know, they'd be mad if they didn't do it. And I think as fight fans, that would be one that really whets the appetite.
Obviously, it's a huge gamble because it's going to be at 147 if it happens, isn't it? Is that not a good thing for Cal?
It's not a good thing for Cal, but it's tough luck for Cal. I mean, I think Amir's made it clear. Look, I'm a welterweight, so I'm not chasing you. Like, you want to fight with me, I want to fight you as well, but I want to win a world title welterweight, so I'm not going up outside of my comfort zone to suit your comfort zone. I kind of get it, but Cal can make 147, but he just has to start very early and be incredibly disciplined. I do think it's a slight disadvantage for him. But he has stressed to me that if I have to make 147 to fight Khan, I will, and I can make it safely. But, you know, in the Errol Spence fight, you know, his camp was 12 weeks, and he had a little bit of a sort of, not an illness, but a little bit of an infection in camp, slowed him down a little bit. But I think if he starts now for December, he'll make 147 comfortably. But I do feel like at 154, he's a better fighter.
Eddie, that's great. We'll let you get on. Hopefully the fishing goes around.
Nothing in this 10 minutes.
No, we'll be back round later to see your progress.
Right,
Pleasure. Cheers, Ed.